everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Future Gyno G. My name is Zahara, pronouns she, they, and today we're going to get into a little bit of Q&A. Okay. Okay, so people sent me some questions on my Instagram, but let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so first someone asked me where am I from, and I feel like that is so weird because I say where I'm from pretty much all the time, or I think I do. Maybe I'm just saying it in my head. Okay, whatever. But I feel like I say that all the time. But yeah, I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 225 Alive. You already know what it is. I have moved around quite a lot because my mom was military for a very long part of the time, or a very long part of my life. And then she also married someone who's in the military. So I've been moving a lot along the eastern seaboard of the United States forever. But I'm definitely from Louisiana, spent the majority of my life in Baton Rouge, if it's not even, you know, yeah, I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Nothing like Baton Rouge, nothing like Baton Rouge, nothing like Baton Rouge. I do this for my city. Nothing like Baton Rouge, nothing like Baton Rouge, nothing like Baton Rouge. I do this for my city.
Someone asked me, did you always know you wanted to be a doctor? I absolutely love this question. Like, I really do, because yes, I literally always knew I wanted to be a doctor. Since I was like 6 years old. My mom has this old video. I was on like WAFB, which is like a local news station in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I was on WAFB, like riding my Barbie truck, or my Barbie Jeep. And I have a Jeep now, which is interesting. But I was like riding my Barbie Jeep. And then they asked me like, what do you want to be when you get older? And I literally said, yeah, I want to be a doctor to help people just in case they get shot, you know, reality of Baton Rouge. But like, yeah, I knew I wanted to be a doctor. And then I realized the specialty that I wanted to pursue around like 7th grade. I was watching Oprah. And Oprah brought this doctor on, Dr. Catherine Hamlin, and she started talking about her book that detailed her and her husband, Dr. Hamlin's life, or lives as doctors from New Zealand, working in Ethiopia, and building like hospitals to help women who have been affected by obstetric fistula. And I was just so interested by it. And I told my mom, I was like, please, I need to have this book. I have to have this book. And she was like, okay, girl. And got the book for me, because I'm like, oh, yo, I'm in 7th grade. What type of 7th grader is trying to read a book that is like this thick, that doesn't have to do with like Harry Potter or like, what was that shit? Twilight, which I read all them Twilight Saga books. First off, let's talk about that. But, and she was like, okay. So she bought the book and I read the book in one night. Like, I stayed up all night to read that book. And I was like, this is exactly the type of work that I want to do. And I would love it if it was a Black person doing it. So yeah, I've always knew I wanted to be a doctor. I learned about the specialty I wanted to pursue in 7th grade. And I've been kind of moving from there, like researching obstetric fistula on YouTube, on Google, you know, researching different things. And also like my life, like me as the person that I am. I know this is like the 2nd video that I put on my channel, but as you see more videos on my channel, you start to see like my movements. And if you know me at all, then you already know how I hold my left arm in a very interesting type of way. And you know, it's quirky, it's me. I was able to play volleyball with it. I was able to do bottle service with it. You know what I'm saying? All the things. I do all the things, okay? So I was able to do everything with it, but I have some permanent nerve damage from an injury that I sustained coming out of the birth canal, you know, coming into this world, because my doctor was rushing my mom, and my mom at the time was a recipient of government assistance. So he just didn't respect her at all, you know, and
it's the highest number. So Black women are dying at 3 to 4 times the rate of their white counterparts in the United States. So it's important for us to also recognize, if we can fix it for Black folks, imagine what'll happen for everybody else.
Why especially Black women?
Yeah. Well, you know, we have to have an honest conversation in this country that we have not had around racism, classism, and gender oppression.
Yeah, he didn't respect her at all. And so it has like kind of been the catalyst for me. Like, obviously me always wanted to be a doctor, like 6 years old, then 7th grade, finding my specialty, but then learning more about that story. I think I learned more about, you know, how I came into this world in university. learning more about that story and just realizing like, wait, so I sustained this brachial plexus injury because a doctor didn't respect my mom. And then, you know, hearing the way that my mom like told the story to me, and how like she got quiet. And if you know my mom is not like a very loud person, but my mom is a very assertive, like type A person. Like, you know, you gonna hear her even if she's not talking loud. You're gonna hear her and you're gonna feel her. And when she said it to me, it was like I could barely hear her. Like my mom it was like my mom had went back to that place. And from there it was just like from there it was just like, I want to protect my mom. You know what I'm saying? I want to protect that vulnerable person that she showed me at that moment. And I also want to protect other birthing folk who may be going through similar things like my mom, who may encounter similar doctors like my mom, if doctors like me don't exist, or doctors who are culturally responsive, doctors who mitigate implicit racial bias, like doctors who come from community more so, because we also, you know, there's plenty of statistics that show that racially concordant care saves lives, not just for Black birthing folk, but also for them babies. Like I want babies like me to have doctors that care about them. You know what I'm saying? I want babies to not have to deal with what I've had to deal with my whole life. I've had to have 2 surgeries to correct you know, the nerve damage, or to get around the nerve damage so that I could, you know, increase my range of motion. I was paralyzed at birth. And you know, I feel like that would go into a whole different story. So I feel like I'll create another video about like my birth story and all the significance behind it, etc., etc. So how many countries have I visited? I think that's a good next question. I've gone to Togo. I lived in Togo for a year. I've also lived in Ethiopia for a year. And before living in Ethiopia, I visited Ethiopia right after graduating from university. It was like my you did it, bitch. I was like, you did it, bitch. It was my gift to myself. So I went to occupied Palestine for a little bit, and then I went to Ethiopia for like 5 days, and back to occupied Palestine, and went back to the United States. Yeah, free Palestine, ho. I also visited, you know, Trinidad and Tobago. More specifically, I visited the island of Trinidad. That's where a part of my family is from. And nobody in my family has gone back or tried to connect with those roots. But I just really was feeling called to go back to Trinidad for my family, you know, set foot back on where our family is from. And it did really feel like that. I obviously should create a video around that as well. Like going to Trinidad felt like ancestors was like, welcome back home. And then going to Togo also really felt like that, especially Togo. Like when I went to Togo, man, bruh, when I touched down in Togo, the breeze was hitting me different. The heat, the humidity was hitting me different. And not in no way like, oh my God, my edges are sweating out. Just more just like, you are home. Like it was such an overwhelming feeling, like welcome home.
¿Y de qué color? Negro. ¿Y qué lindo suena? Negro. ¿Y qué ritmo tiene? Negro, 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 negro.
And I had already visited Ethiopia. I had already visited Cameroon, but Togo was different, you know? So yeah, and I'll definitely talk about that when I, you know, future videos. But yeah, those are places I visited. I said Cameroon. I spent like 5 seconds in Azerbaijan, which I really want to go back to for just like a long vacation. Azerbaijan is freaking beautiful. Okay. Where else have I gone? Okay, yeah, I went to France, Belgium. I went to you know, the UK and Northern Ireland like a long time ago. I spent a day in Egypt, which I just really enjoyed. Yeah, I think that's, I've been to Barbados as well. I think that's it. Yeah. And someone also said, where's my favorite place I've ever visited? Whoa, I don't have a favorite right now. I'm really not into creating like favorite lists around places I've visited, just because every experience brings its own place, and every experience brings like something new to your life and something new to what you can offer to the world. I don't know, you know, you expand your mind, you open your mind, you interact with community. And my travels always have to do with interacting with Black people and people of color. So I would say some of my favorite experiences were definitely anywhere on the continent. And when I say anywhere on the continent, I definitely want to be very specific and say anywhere on the continent where I was allowed to be surrounded by African peoples.
And I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm blickety black, blacker than black, black. I'm blacker than black, yo.
Y punto. Like anywhere on the continent where I was allowed to be surrounded by African peoples. I remember having it up in Cameroon. Like I was in Douala, like we was partying every night. I remember one night I was just like, okay, I'm finna go home. Like I'm about to get in a taxi. Like we've been out 5 nights in a row. It's 4 a.m. I'm sick of it. I was like, yo, I have to get back inside. So I enjoyed that. I remember just sitting in Togo with one of my work partners and, you know, just sitting in like, I don't know, it was like a bar and we were just chilling. And I just remember him just being so happy, you know, giddy. We were both really tipsy, just enjoying ourselves. And he was just smiling so hard. And that is like one of my favorite experiences from Togo, just experiencing, or anywhere in the world, just experiencing Black joy just brings me so much joy.
Black people have survived the atrocities of history because of joy. We thrive because of joy, and we will continue to make moments of joy no matter what. Even in the face of white supremacy and systemic racism, we will continue to be Black and joyous.
Yeah, so that's, I don't, that doesn't really answer the question, like what my favorite place to visit, but my favorite experiences were on the continent, just seeing Black people happy, like, it fills me up. Okay, next question. I guess we're gonna start to get into, you know, my journey to medicine. I feel like we've already talked about it a bit, but whatever. We'll get into my journey to medicine. What schools or cities what schools or cities would I like to go to medical school in? Okay, so I'm a planner and I've been planning the schools I'm going to go to medical school at since 6, like literally. I have planned everything out. I knew I was going to go to Johns Hopkins. Anybody who knows me already knows this kind of like spiel, but I knew I was going to go to Johns Hopkins since I was in like 8th grade. I looked it up. I said, that's where I'm going. Like I have been courting Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health since I was in my sophomore year of college. I went to every single open house since 2013, pretty much. The only few I missed, I was either in Togo or Ethiopia. Like I go every year. I go to the open house or the virtual fairs every year. I court them. I literally, yeah. So when you talk about manifesting, I'm the queen of that shit. So I'm now working on manifesting my medical schools. My thing is, am I like ready to tell the world what medical schools I want to go to? No, I don't want to tell the world that because I don't even know what type of people are watching. I haven't built, you know, a community on here just yet. But I'm down to say the cities and you can just, you know, use your brain from there, okay? So I definitely wouldn't mind going to medical school in Baltimore. I will, you know, already be in the area. It wouldn't be horrible. And obviously Baltimore has some really great, you know, medical schools and great places for you to get deeper into your craft. I'm also down to go to medical school in Washington, D.C. I went to undergrad in Washington, D.C. at American University, and I have pretty much been in the DMV area for like over 5 years. So it would be amazing to continue to stay in this area and continue to have my support system, even if it's just like, okay, I'm gonna call somebody up and be like, because I told you I used to do bottle service. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna call somebody up and be like, I need to get out. Like, I need to just free my mind for a little bit. I know I can call somebody up and be able to go get some bottles. Like, I know I can free my mind if need be. And then, you know, my family is in this area as well. And then lastly, I wouldn't mind going to school in Boston. Like, I'm hearing that the cold is like not cute, but I wouldn't mind sacrificing the cold for the amazing education that I could get there. So those are the 3 places that I'm interested in. Please believe I'm courting them. Even starting in the next month, I will be courting them. Will be, asking what I need to do to make myself a competitive applicant. Figuring out the scores that they like. It's already on their website, but you want to talk to people. And I guess I could create videos around that in the future too. You want to talk to people who are in these admissions offices. Get them to know you as a candidate, so that when they have those people reviewing applications, they can be like, oh, I know exactly who this is. This person is very serious about coming to this school. They've been talking to us since X, Y, and Z year. They have been sending us their updates, blah, blah, blah. They can see you as a human. And that's very important for Black, Indigenous, and people of color applicants, no matter what it is. You want to always help people to humanize you, because the neuroscience behind that, which I'm not going to get too deep into, but the neuroscience behind the way the brain works when you're an in-group or an out-group person, and Black, Indigenous, and people of color are always, or more often than not, out-group people in a white dominant society. When you are a part of the out-group, it's really hard for people who are in the in-group because of the conditioning that we have. Think media, think education, think anything that is controlled by white people, which is almost everything in a white dominated society. It doesn't teach you to see people are part of the out group as people who you should be around or people who you should humanize. There are literally mechanisms within the brain. We can have other talks about that. There are literally mechanisms within the brain that block you from humanizing people. So in anything that you can do on the front end to allow them to see you as a human being, and to sort of help them to mitigate the firing away of those dehumanizing mechanisms in the brain, you want to do it, right? So yeah, those are the 3, and I just gave y'all a little bit of knowledge. All right, another question. So I think another one I can go to, I'm gonna jump to this one. Will your MSPH or master's knock off some time that you'll be in medical school? Child, no. No, it won't. It won't. That's a simple answer. It won't. It's adding years to my life. It's adding years to my journey, to be quite honest. But just like in any other facet of life, especially in the Western world, especially in the United States of America, if you just think about other professions outside of like medicine, a bachelor's degree is kind of like, people are starting to see bachelor's degrees like nothing, unfortunately. Like now it's kind of required for you to get a master's degree, which is really sickening because it's, student debt is real. But yeah, they're starting to see master's degrees like bachelor's degrees. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's kind of the same thing happening in the medical field. Like you'll see doctors now, they have their MD, but they also have an MPH or an MSPH, so a Master's of Public Health or a Master's of Science in Public Health behind that as well. Just because it's kind of becoming like a requirement to be a well-rounded physician. And also like I see the benefit behind it. It's very classist. And very elitist because again, the monies that you have to shell out for a master's degree are ridiculous if you're not able to get a scholarship, which most people are not getting scholarships for grad school or medical school. It happens, but that's not the everyday person's reality. But I definitely see the benefits to it, which is why I'm getting the MSPH. Because think about it, medical school, especially a lot of folks who go from undergrad to medical school, you may be doing research, but a lot of your research may be more like focused on biology or biomedicine, right? You're in labs. Whereas the research that you'll probably be doing in your MSPH will be focused on like qualitative data and be focusing on those soft sciences rather than the hard sciences. And that really helps you to be more well-rounded. It allows you to build up that cultural responsiveness. And most people who are doing Masters of Science in Public Health are also kind of focusing on like, reproductive justice. It's really probably not that I will be doing that, but a lot of people are looking more at like reproductive health equity, let's say that. or they're you know, looking at social determinants of health and assessing how conflict may affect people's reproductive health outcomes. Like they're adding different layers to their understanding of reproductive medicine, and that really helps you to be a better physician. And right now, a lot of the physicians that we have right now, and I know this because I trained them, a lot of physicians that we have right now are missing that, like heavily missing that. Like they're missing that ability to show up and give good bedside manner, you know, or to give care that is culturally responsive. Like there's a lot of there's a lot of master's programs right now that are also teaching, and I'm so glad that they're doing that. It should have been happening a long time ago, but we're grateful still. We're so glad that a lot of master's programs are also teaching folks about like LGBTQIA plus health and those different barriers that folks are part of the queer community, like myself, barriers that folks are part of the queer community may have that other folks may not have. So it really gets you to look at sort of those layers of oppression that marginalized folks are dealing with, so that you can approach care in a different way. So I get it, but they just added 2 more years onto my process. So I have about 10 more years, baby. So I just want to thank y'all so much for sticking with me through the Q&A. I know this was a long video, but thank you so much to the people who sent questions. If you like this video, please like it and comment and let me know what you liked about it. Let's talk about it. I feel like I spent a good time talking about a whole lot of stuff, so I would love to just interact with y'all and create community here. And always, you know, if you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe. We got another video coming next Sunday.